We are coming fresh off a 4-1 day in our 5 premium sports picks on BrockPage.com yesterday. And that's going to improve our record to 8-4 in our last 12 NBA tier package picks on that very same website. And the good news is we have another NBA tier package pick going off here today. We currently have over 730 members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks on this video are being featured as my NBA tier package pick, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for my NBA tier package picks on BrockPage.com. The Celtics take on the Magic, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Boston's -7, totals 214. Celtics are on a 3-game losing streak, 0-3 against the number in those 3 losses. Boston allows more points per contest than any other team in basketball. They're also in the bottom 3 in defensive rebounding. They're taking on an Orlando squad who's in the top 10 in three-point shooting. Cole Anthony's making nearly 45% of his three-pointers, 19 points a game and 7 boards for Anthony. Meanwhile, Franz Wagner's making over 46% of his three-pointers himself, 15 points a game and 3 boards for Wagner. Now defensively, the Magic's in the top 3 in defensive rebounding at home. And when it comes to the injury report, Moore is out, Carter Williams and Harris are questionable. And when it comes to the total in this one, 3 out of Orlando's last 4 got over the line. 6-2 to the over for the whole season. Meanwhile, 3 out of Boston's last 4 road games got over the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Orlando +7 in the over 214. Next game, Bulls, Sixers, 7 o'clock East. Philadelphia's -2, totals 216. The Sixers failed to cover in 2 out of their last 4 home games. Philly's also in the bottom 10 in fourth quarter points allowed. They're taking on a 6-1 Bulls team who hasn't lost on the road yet. Chicago leads the NBA in fourth quarter points allowed on the road. They're also in the top 10 in defensive field goal percentage. Alex Caruso's grabbing nearly 3 steals a night defensively. Nikola Vucevic with double-digit rebounds a game as well. Now scoring-wise, DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, they're each averaging 25 points a game respectively. As a matter of fact, Chicago leads the NBA in offensive field goal percentage on the road. Now, injury-wise, White is still out indefinitely for Chicago. Meanwhile, for Philadelphia, Danny Green and Tobias Harris, they're out for tonight's game. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Philly's last 4 ball games at the Wells Fargo Center fell under the number. They're also 5-2 to the under for the whole season. Meanwhile, Chicago saw 2 out of their last 3 fall under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward Chicago +2 in the under 216. Next game, Knicks, Pacers, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Indiana's -1.5, totals 217. But despite being favored in this one, Indiana's lost 4 out of their last 5. And they're going to have to go to work without Jeremy Lamb and possibly Malcolm Brogdon. The Pacers are in the bottom 5 in points allowed per contest. They're also letting their opponents make nearly 40% of their three-pointers. They're taking on a 5-2 Knicks team who's in the top 3 in scoring, top 3 in three-point percentage. Kemba Walker's draining 57% of his 3 balls. Derrick Rose making 50% of his three-pointers off the bench. And of course, Julius Randle's leading the team in points per contest. He's scoring 21 points a game along with double-digit rebounds. New York's undefeated on the road, and they make 47% of their three-pointers away from home. Injury-wise, Gibson and Noel are questionable. And when it comes to the total on this one, New York's last 2 straight got over the number, 71% to the over for the whole year. I'm going to lean toward the New York Knicks +1.5 in the over 217. Next game, Raptors, Wizards, 7 o'clock Eastern start. Washington's -3, totals 212.5. But despite a really good start to the season, Washington's going to have to go to work without Bertans, Bryant, Hachimura, Winston, and Gill tonight. The Wizards are also allowing 119 points a night at home, and they're letting their opponents make nearly 50% of their field goals on their home court as well. They're taking on a Toronto team who's on a 4-game winning streak, and they haven't lost a road game yet. As a matter of fact, the Raptors have successfully covered the point spread in all 3 of their victories away from home. Now, Toronto's allowing only 93 points a game on the road, and they're in the top 3 in road defensive rebounding. Gary Trent Jr. is averaging just about 3 steals a game. Meanwhile, scoring-wise, OG Anunoby is dropping over 20 points a night, along with 5 boards and a couple assists. Now, the Raptors are currently in the top 3 in offensive rebounding on the road. When it comes to the injury report, Siakam's still out indefinitely. Watanabe and Barnes, they're sitting this one out tonight as well. Now, when it comes to the number in this one, Toronto's 4-1 to the over in their last 5. Washington saw their last 3 straight get over the number themselves. I'm going to lean toward Toronto plus 3 over 212.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Blazers Cavaliers, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Portland Trailblazers are -4, numbers 217.5. The Blazers are winless on the road this season, 0-3 against the spread in those road losses as well. Portland's giving up 118 points a game when they travel. They're also letting their opponents make nearly 51% of their field goals against them when they travel as well. They're taking on a Cleveland squad who won 4 out of their last 6. And they went 5-1 against the spread during that span. The Cavs are in the top 10 in first quarter scoring. Colin Sexton's getting 17 points a night along with 3 boards. Meanwhile, Darius Garland's averaging nearly 14 a game along with 7.5 assists. Cleveland's in the top 5 in third quarter scoring at home. And injury-wise, Kevin Love is out indefinitely. Okoro is out for tonight as well. Cleveland's 5-1 to the under in their last 6. Meanwhile, their opponents saw 4 out of their last 5 stay under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward Cleveland plus 4 and the under 217.5. Next game, Hawks Nets, 7:30 p.m. East. Brooklyn's -5.5, totals 220. The Nets failed to cover in 2 out of their last 3. Bottom 10 in home scoring. The Nets are also in the bottom 10 in shooting the 3-ball at home. They're taking on an Atlanta club who's holding their opponents to just 31% shooting from beyond the arc. Clint Capella is averaging just about 2 blocks a game, double-digit rebounds for the big man. Of course, when it comes to the scoring, Trae Young's getting over 22.5 points a night, along with 3 boards, 9 assists. Atlanta's in the top 5 in second quarter scoring. Now, injury-wise, John Collins is questionable. Meanwhile, for Brooklyn, Millsap, he's questionable as well. Brooklyn's 7-0 to the under for the entire season. Atlanta's 3-1 to the under when traveling. Give me the Hawks plus 5.5, under 220. Next game, Clippers, T-Wolves, 8 o'clock East. LA's -1, totals 215. The 2-4 Clippers are going to work without Ibaka, Morris, and Preston. LA's dead last in the league in defensive rebounding, bottom 3 in offensive rebounding on the road. They're taking on a Minnesota team who allows only 102 points per contest at the Target Center. And they're holding their opponents to just 29% shooting from beyond the arc. Karl Anthony Towns is averaging nearly 2 blocks a game, 9 rebounds a night for the center. Now, of course, Towns is also the team's leading scorer with 24 points a night, and he's shooting 50% from beyond the arc. Anthony Edwards is averaging 23 points a game himself. When it comes to the injury report, Beverly is questionable for Minnesota. Russell is out. Minnesota's 6-0 to the under for the season. LA's 5-1 to the under for the year themselves. I'm going to lean toward Minnesota plus 1, under 215. Next game, Nuggets, Grizzlies, 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Memphis is -1, totals 213.5. Memphis lost 3 out of their last 5 ball games. Bottom three in the league in defense. Let's try that again. Bottom three in the league in defending the three ball. As a matter of fact, the Grizzlies are giving up 116 points per contest at home. And they're letting their opponents make 40% of their three-pointers. They're taking on a Denver team who leads the NBA in fewest points allowed per contest. The Nuggets allow only 98 points a game, and they're holding their opponents to just 30% shooting from beyond the arc. Nikola Jokic is averaging nearly 14 rebounds a game, 23 points a night, and 5 assists for the Joker. Now, Jokic is also draining nearly 41% of his three balls. Will Barton's also scoring over 13.5 points a game himself. Denver's in the top 3 in offensive field goal percentage. Now, total-wise, Memphis saw 4 out of their last 7 get over the line. 2 of them wanted the over at the FedEx Forum. Give me Denver +1, over 213.5. Next game, Mavs, Spurs, 8:30 East. Dallas is -1, totals 216. Dallas lost 2 out of their last 3. 1-4 against the spread in their last 5. Kleba's out. Porzingis and Burke are questionable. The Mavs are dead last in the association in offensive field goal percentage on the road. They're also making just 28% of their three-pointers when traveling, and they're scoring only 88 points a game away from home as well. They're taking on a Spurs team who successfully covered the point spread in 2 out of their last 3. San Antonio is averaging over 118 points a game at home, and they're in the top 10 in offensive field goal percentage. DeJounte Murray scoring over 17.5 points a game, 7 boards, 8 assists for the guard. Meanwhile, Keldon Johnson's getting nearly 15 points a night himself, 5 boards, couple assists for Keldon. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, 2 out of San Antonio's last 3 fell under the line. Meanwhile, the Mavs are 3-0 to the under on the road, 6-1 to the under for the entire year. Give me San Antonio +1, under 216. Next ball game, Hornets, Warriors, 10 o'clock East. Golden State's -5.5, totals 226. Warriors have won 5 of 6 to start off the year. Top 3 in shooting the three ball at home. Top 3 in home offensive rebounding as well. Steph Curry is averaging over 28.5 points a night. 7 boards, 6 assists for Steph. He's also drilling over 97% of his free throws. Andrew Wiggins is also getting 16 points a game, 4 boards, and 40% shooting from downtown. Now, defensively, the Warriors allow only 99 points a game at home. They're holding their opponents to just 26% shooting from beyond the arc in that same category. They're taking on a Hornets team who lost 3 out of their last 5, and they give up a whole lot of points. Charlotte's in the bottom 3 in points allowed per contest, bottom 5 in defensive field goal percentage on the road. Charlotte's giving up 115 points a game, and they're allowing more first quarter points than any other team in basketball. Charlotte's last 2 straight got over the line, 4-1 of the over in their last 5. Give me Golden State -5.5 and the over 226. Next and final matchup, Pelicans, Kings, 10 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Sacramento Kings are -4.5, totals 220. The Kings have covered in 3 out of their last 4 ball games, top 10 in second quarter scoring. Harrison Barnes is scoring 23 points a game, 9 boards, couple assists for Barnes. The forward's also drilling 45% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, De'Aaron Fox is scoring over 17.5 points a night himself, 4 boards, 6 assists for Fox. Now, defensively, believe it or not, Sacramento's in the top 10 in guarding the three ball. They're taking on a 1-7 Pelicans team who's in the bottom 5 in defensive field goal percentage. The Pels are also in the bottom 10 in points allowed per game. Injury-wise, Ingram, Jones, and Holmes, they're all questionable for tonight's action. Meanwhile, for Sacramento, Richaun Holmes is questionable for them. 2 out of Sacramento's last 3 got over the line. New Orleans saw 2 out of their last 3 get over the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Sacramento -4.5, over 220. With that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com. where we are 8-4 in our last 12 NBA tier package picks. I like Orlando plus 7 over 214. Chicago plus 2 under 216. New York Knicks plus 1.5 over 217. Toronto plus 3 over 212 and a hook. Cleveland plus 4 under 217 and a half. Atlanta plus 5.5 under 220. Minnesota plus 1 under 215. Denver plus 1 over 213 and a half. San Antonio plus 1 under 216. Golden State minus 5.5 over 226. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 8-4 in our last 12 NBA tier package picks on BrockPage.com. I'm going to lean towards Sacramento minus 4.5 in the over 220. And with that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that's going to go to Steven Smith, who said the other day, "I watch you every day, Brock. Can we get a shout out?" Well, here it is. Shout out to Steven Smith. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on BrockPage.com. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on that website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on BrockPage.com, you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of November. And as always, I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at BrockPage.com.